G'day friends, it's Vicky Wright, Independent Stampin' Up Demonstrator, Australia. So welcome to April, where Robbie and I will be playing around and sharing with you on our blog each Sunday after, I think it's about 2 o'clock my time, Australian time, a colouring technique for you. And obviously with the retiring list coming out and our new colour revamp, I might play with a couple of colours that are retiring and stem sets. Okay, so I've chosen our Stampin' blends this week, and this is my card. It's very, very shimmery. I'm using the, what do you call that? I think it's the 2024 Glimmer paper, the in colour Glimmer paper. And this is Orchid Oasis. And we're also going to be playing with the Happiness Abounds stamp set. Okay, so yeah, and as I said, I'm going to be playing with the blends. I love my blends, so I'm not too sure what Robbie's doing, but for all Robbie's information, I'll have a link down to my blog down below, and on my blog we'll have a link to Robbie's blog. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed our March shares. If you're not aware of it, during March we shared every day a card created with from a 6x6 one sheet wonder template. So with a new month, this is what we're doing this month, and we're back on our blogs. Okay, so we'll just grab our kit. Now I've decided I'm going to go with the Sweet Sorbet this time and not the Orchid Oasis, okay? Only because I don't have any of the Orchid Oasis paper left, so we're going with the Sweet Sorbet. So fingers crossed it'll come out okay. So I've done a little bit of work, and I meant to do a little bit of colouring, but so just bear with me. We're going to be using Granny Apple Green for our leaves, okay. Sometimes I will colour in the whole image with the light Stampin' blend, and then other times I will come back, well, other times I will just start off with the dark and then blend it. And this is what I'm going to do now. I'm not going to lay a foundation down first. I always tend to flick. Now, I'm no expert by any means. Everyone's a little bit different on how they colour. And all I'm doing now is coming in. I'm actually using the brush end, which I don't very often do, but this time I think we will. And I'm just coming in with the brush tip, and I'm just blending out that dark a little bit. Okay, so that's one. And then again, I'm just going to do a few flicks through my image. Now I've stamped the image onto basic white with the Memento black ink. Okay, so again, I'm using the nib end this time because it's a smaller area, and I'm not that good with the brush end, Probably because I'm used to using that end. Now, when I'm blending, I'm careful not to blend out the darker image too much. So that's the small leaf. Okay. And then that's the larger leaf. So you can just see the dark shading along the bottom. If you wanted to, you can go back and do the dark again, but always blend it out. Always finish off with your light. So this one, we're going to be using Petal Pink. Petal Pink. Is that Petal Pink? Yep, light Petal Pink. Okay, so again, we might just go over all this. Just to lay a little bit of colour down. Oops, it's going a little bit dry. Or maybe we won't be laying our colour down. There's just a very, very light colour laid down. Then I'm going to come back in with, excuse me, the dark Petal Pink, and I'm just going to flick small amounts, just randomly. I'm not doing it even. I just want a little bit of shading showing. Then I'm going to come in with the light and I'm going to fill up all those areas with the light. I'll show you a trick in a minute. So that's how it's looking at the moment. Okay. As I said, I meant to do some of this, but that's okay. So I'm just flicking. It's up to you. You can do it in circles if you wanted to, but I just tend to flick. And I'm coming in again, just shading it, or blending it I should say, just a little bit where the two meet. I'm not going right down to the end where we started with the dark. It's just along the top a little bit. And we'll do this one here. Okay. I'll just come in. Looks dark, but that's okay. No, that's light. There's lots you can do with your blends. This is just one way. Just the basic way of colouring. Everyone's a little bit different. And I tend to only do 1 or 2 petals at a time because I like to have my ink a little bit wet, or my blends a little bit wet when I'm blending. It just blends a little bit better. I'm just colouring everything in, so don't panic. I'll show you a trick in a minute. So we're just blending out that dark. And we've got one more to do. Now, as I said, I have stamped these in Memento, Tuxedo Black, and I've actually die cut them using the Happiness Abounds. What is the I can't remember the dies, but the matching dies I've pre-die cut them once I stamped them. Okay, so now we're going to come in with our, excuse me a minute, colour lifter. And what we're going to do, your colour lifter will lift colour off your image. So what we're actually going to do is just come around the sides, or not the sides, but the end, or not the ends, but these little bits here on the petals. See those turned up bits on your flower? And I'm just going to take a little bit of colour off the turned up petals. You can take as much off as you like, or as little as you like. Now, as this dries, those bits will get lighter. That's exactly what I did here too. I've coloured everything with the light, and then I come back with the colour lifter. Then what we're going to do is come in with our dark Daffodil Delight, and we're just going to highlight, I can't really see that, a few areas in the middle of our flower. We're going to come in with that was our dark, we're going to come in with our light, Daffodil Delight still, and we're just going to blend over it. And that is our flower. I'm just going to, a few white spaces there. That's better. So that is our flower. So as you can see, the tips of the petals are getting lighter as the colour lifter dries. So I've left one there, so let's do that one too, eh? Then what we're going to do to finish it off, we're going to grab our Winker Stella, and because this is shimmer, we've got to have lots of shimmer. And all I'm doing is just going over it, not too particular. And you'll find too that it will, depending on the colour, it may highlight the darker areas of your flower. I can't remember what I've done now. I've got to be careful with this one, it's a newbie. So it tends to really go overboard if I squeeze it too much. This will add lots and lots of little nice shimmer to your card. You may not be able to see it, but there is a lot of shimmer there. It's beautiful. Okay, and that has brought out the colour in the flower as well. So we'll put that aside for a minute just to let it rest. Now as your blends dry, the colour will come out a little bit more. Okay, don't worry about the underside because that's how it's supposed to be. Then what we're going to do is bring in a piece of basic white, and we're going to bring in our Sweet Sorbet Glimmer paper, and we are going to stick this to the piece of basic white, and we'll put the darker section area down the bottom. Now I have made a wider border on this. I usually only leave about 1/8 of an inch, but this time it's probably about 1/4. Looks a bit long along the top, so let's chop that a little bit. We'll just chop a little fraction off. Hardly even notice it. Hardly worth it actually. Then we're going to bring in our base card of Sweet Sorbet. Oh, looks like it's been wet. Don't know what's happened there, but we'll cover that up. And I actually have my bone folder. Just burnish along that score line, and we're not going to seal that. I don't know what's happened there, but we'll perform a miracle by covering it up. Then we're going to stick this down with our, I always use Tombow, the adhesive, but you use what you're happy with. I'm just going to check the names of those dyes. It's really getting to me now. Just bear with me. Cottage, sheep, dainty, blossoming happiness. That's what they're called. Actually, I'll grab them because I want to show you a little tip. Blossoming happiness. I would never have thought of that. So then what we're doing is we're going to bring in a panel of basic white. If I can find it. What happened to it? There it is. Gave myself a fright there. Now I've die cut along the bottom here to give it this shape, and I've used this die here, okay, and I've just put it along the bottom like that. And when you do that, that mark there along there goes along like that. So go like that. That goes like that. And then you'll have your, like that. Just like that. Okay? And then it cuts it to, I suppose you'd call it a bookbind shape. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to stamp a sentiment from the Happiness Abounds stamp set, and we might use Best Wishes if I can fit it on. And we'll just grab a block, a block. Now the Mother's Day one I've used here, Happy Mother's Day, comes from the Best Occasions, I think it is, stamp set. Just bear with me while I do this. I don't think that's straight either, but we'll give it a burl. So we're going to stamp it in Sweet Sorbet. I always stamp onto scrap paper first, so I know I've got it straight. Before I stamp it, I just want to put my flower just for placement. And fingers crossed, that's pretty good. Okay, so then what we're going to do is bring in a tiny little bit of scrap, which I have. Teach me how you lose things, eh? I had it, here it is. For the life of me, sometimes you think you have it there. Well, it starts off all there. Now I'll bust the scissors. So what we're going to do is we're just actually going to trim this off a little bit, just to make it a little bit shorter. And what I've done here is just put a little notch in the middle, and I've just cut up to that centre of that notch. Just to make it into a banner shape. You could die cut it into a banner shape. We do have dies. The stylish stitch shapes would work nicely. And that's it. So then what I'm going to do now is just add a little bit of adhesive just along the middle there. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll line this up, and we're just going to put that sort of in the middle so that it's nice and even both sides and straight at the same time. Just like that. That looks crooked down there, doesn't it? Watch me ruin this now. That's a bit better. Then what we're going to do is put a few dimensionals on the back. Couple here on the sides for support as well. Can never have too many dimensionals anyhow. And we might put one here and one there. Oops. Bring in our base card, make sure it's facing the right way, and we're just going to stick this to the middle of our card, making sure it's nice and straight. And once you're happy with it, press down gently, okay? Just like that. Then what we're going to do, now I know this has popped up a little bit, but I'm thinking we'll do the same as what I've done here, and we're just going to pop this up a little bit as well. You don't have to pop this up if you don't want to. If you want to glue it down, you're quite welcome to do that as well. And we'll put one in the middle for a little bit of support. Now also too, part of it's going to go off the card. So I'm just going to put an extra one on top of this side, because remember it's popped up. The panel, white panel's popped up, and this will be popped up. So that'll give it support and it'll bring it in alignment with our card. Okay, so that's it there. And that's looking a little bit better. So we'll add a little bit of colour now. And all we're going to do is grab our mini glue dots. Or you could use adhesive if you wanted to. But all I'm going to do is put a little mini glue dot, sticky little devils, there. And I'm just going to stick that there. Adds a little bit more colour actually. I'll do it the same as the other one. Just got to be just so. And we'll put that one just there. And then what we're going to do is finish it off with a bit of bling, eh? Now I don't have the any more of the dots left, the in colours. So I'm thinking we might do let's use these, the sparkle gems. See how they look. The other thing I'm thinking of is the iridescent rhinestones, but let's try this. We can always take them off. So we'll put one there. Just adds a little bit more oomph to our card. We'll put one there, and we'll put one more here. Might move this one up a bit. About there. And then what we're going to do is press these down. I always press them down once I'm happy with where I've put them. Makes it easier to move them there if you don't press them down straight away. I just let them sit there and I can move them then. Then that is our card. But of course, you've got to finish it off with a little bit of matchy-matchy. So what I've done is, with a little bit of the leftover Glimmer paper, we're going to add this to our envelope. Put that aside. Just like that. Trim that off with our scissors. Oops. And grab a piece of basic white, which of course I can't find now. As I said, I'm not sure how they get lost because everything's in the kit, but and all we're going to do is trim that off again. Trim this off. So these papers will be retiring. So I'm glad I've used these because, as I said, I didn't have any Orchid Oasis left, which is a good thing. And Happiness Abounds, is that retiring? I can't remember now. I think it might be. So it's a perfect opportunity to play with it again. And that is our card. So that's the one I've originally done. And this is the other one. Now, this has been coloured with the Petal Pink combo and the Granny Apple Green combo. This one I did with Flirty Flamingo and Daffodil Delight, the same as in the middle. And the leaves have been coloured with Parakeet Party. Stamped with Orchid Oasis. They're the Orchid Oasis, can't remember what they're called, bling, I'll say bling. And I've done it exactly the same way. Okay, so the link to my blog will be below, and then on the blog will be the link to Robbie's card that she's sharing for her colouring project. So thank you so much for watching. It's really appreciated, and I look forward to sharing our creations during March. Okay, enjoy your week. See ya. Hooray.